Ah, yeah. What is going on, YouTube? What's going on, everybody? Mike Anderson here with the 1% Solution and Living Motion Monograms. And today, my friend, we are going to be talking about photo booths. All the fun props, all the gadgets, all the fun things that you can do with it. Basically, no, actually, we're not going to talk about any of that stuff. We're going to be... Sorry to let you down there. We're actually going to be... Mr. Michael Moore, thank you for the subscription, man. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking about photo booth layouts and designs. I know this is always a hot topic. Sometimes it's a little challenging to figure out how these all work. But I think it's, it's one of those things where no matter what software you're using, it's gonna be pretty universal as far as the design aspect. There's gonna be and I'll explain a little bit better later on some of the slight differences between with the programs and stuff. But for the most part, when you're doing the design work itself, it's all going to be relatively the same. So if you're using the Darkroom, or if you're using Breeze software, then they're as far as the design aspect of this, it's all going to be about the same. So let me these things are hot. God, I gotta get in my booth a little more often and see how come on. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, that's nice. I might have to wear the hat the whole time. What is this? Get okay. Maybe we'll rock the chain. We'll rock the chain for the show today. So welcome everybody. Damn glad to have you guys here. Appreciate you guys stopping by, saying hi. If you are new to the channel, make sure say hi in the chat. Let me know. Use photo booth software. No, not a problem. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, it worked hard on that outfit. But when it comes to, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys if you want to be a part of the live chat, it's always a blast. I'd love to see you in there. You just got to make sure you guys are logged in to YouTube, either on your desktop or make sure you log in with your app there on your phone if you're watching that. Okay, so to get us started this afternoon, first off, in the chat, if you guys do me a favor, answer me a question here. What do you guys usually use for the people in the chat right now? What version of Photoshop do you guys use? Maybe we'll start with that, and we'll go with that and see which one maybe we'll jump back and forth either way. But is it Photoshop CC or Photoshop Elements? That way we can have a little bit of fun with both here. So with the actual photo booth templates, there's going to be really 4 different elements that we're going to be talking about today. First off, there's obviously the background, and some of these are going to be in combination together, but we'll separate them first. The first thing, background. So that's going to be what's going to be in the backdrop of your Photoshop, or your actual image itself. So if we say bring this up here, for example, as a design. So our background is this is going to be our blue little texture back here. We've also got say that, and this is a full 4x6. We've also got our footers. Sometimes programs will ask for like a footer, and in that case, then that's more of the kind of 2x6 style, which would be apparently not in here. Here we go. Let's go with our... So when we're working with footers, then a lot of times you may design it to where this bottom piece where your monogram and stuff and the design itself is just this bottom piece. Now, the catch to it is, I may do things a little different with my booth than you do with yours, but and let me know if it's similar or if you have a slight change to it. I kind of, to be honest with you, I personally currently use Breeze software, and when I first learned how to use Breeze, it wasn't. I didn't use it this way, to be honest with you, because they have the different setups where it's like you label the file as footer or background or overlay or things like that. But when it came to the overall design, I just said, why don't we just make a background? Either one of two things: make a background, or you make an overlay. And I may be wrong, but it seems a lot easier. And there may be some situations where it's important to make a footer or a side kind of rail, just for your template and stuff, and have all those different little elements involved with it. But I want to show you guys a couple cool little tricks and tips. And then we're also going to, create a design itself. So in the live chat right now, what I want you guys to do is, toss in there maybe some ideas. I want some themes when it comes to, it could be a birthday party, a wedding, but whatever it ends up being, give me a theme that we can work with, because we want to make something from scratch here as well, because that's always a lot more fun than showing you guys a bunch of stuff that's already pre-done. We got Michael Moore. Thank you so much for joining us. Brand new subscriber. Really appreciate that. Love having you here. And oh
my God.
Mr. Ronnie Mole, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. If you guys haven't already and are new to the channel, why don't you guys take a second to hit that subscribe button. Right over here, you're going to see your name pop up if you're in the live stream here, and you'll see our counter go up as well. So it'll be we definitely appreciate that. So, we got Enchanted Forest. Enchanted Forest. Oh, lovely little fairies flying around. Maybe. What? All right, Enchanted Forest. We got one. Any other elements that we want to add into this? So we've got Forest, Enchanted. Well, we got see if anybody else wants to chime in, maybe add to it, or let's see. We'll go to our best friend Google. Why are these popping up? Okay, go to our best friend Google here, and let's see what kind of inspiration we can get today. Oh, lots of little Enchanted Forests. Yeah, a lot of times I use Google for kind of inspiration on different designs. You do have to be careful because, a lot of these are pretty much guaranteed copyright. So, but you can use some different tools that they have, which is up here at the top as you're doing, and you go into images. You go to tools here, and you maybe use usage right, labeled for use modification. We're going to select that and see what pops up, because that might give us some narrow down our search. We want to do large size because we want the best quality possible. Enchanted Forest, I'm thinking very colorful. Whimsical. What do you guys think? Wow. Forests. There's a lot of forests that are not that colorful. And I have a feeling that anything we find whimsical is going to be more or less Disney. Oh, wait a minute. See, you never know what you find. Fairy lantern. Free stock photo. Look at this. Okay, so I like this. Let's go ahead, and this is a great start. So we got fairy lantern. We're going to do this right. We're going to go and let's go to our desktop here, create a new folder here, and we're going to go new photo booth. All right. So how's your weekend, guys? Hopefully you guys are all rocking and rolling with events. And while you guys are putting in suggestions, it's time for a little rant, okay? Because this past weekend, it irritates. I don't know why it's so difficult to understand this stuff. Usually when I'm making decisions or giving suggestions, it's not to benefit me. And so it comes down to it. Sometimes you're working with coordinators, and not all coordinators, but there are, I'm going to say, a select few coordinators that make things a little bit difficult. Of course, none that I work with, right? And so let's talk about photo booth placement here. All right. Because when, for example, this past weekend, I'm working with a client, talking about placement of your photo booth. Where do you guys think the photo booth should be? I mean, there's a lot of different places, right? I mean, it could be, I don't know, maybe over in the same room. It could be in the front lobby. It could be maybe on the back patio. It could be, over by the bathrooms. I mean, it could be out front. Or hey, here's an idea. How about we put it near the dance floor where where all the celebrations happening at? I don't know if that was an idea that crossed anybody's mind, but no, of course not. Of course, it doesn't cross people's minds. So this past weekend, after meeting with the clients for hours on end, talking about all the placements, all working on a room outline, talking about all this stuff, I had a coordinator decided, you know what? We're going to put the photo booth in the back of the room. And I'm like, well, it's a very large room. It's pretty far back there. And she's like, yeah, well, that's the only place we have. I'm like, actually, there's like this giant 30 by 30 foot area over by the dance floor that would work really, really well. And she's like, no, we want to fill this space back there in the back. And I'm like, okay, what else is in the room? And there's, of course, towards next to the dance floor, she said she wants to use that area for the gift tables. And I'm like, okay, why? You're going to make guests carry the gifts all the way across the room and then put them on the table over here? Well, we don't want the gift table next to the exit. Is theft really a problem at weddings? I mean, have you guys found that there's like a lot of strong arm robbery happening at the gift table? I didn't see this, but okay. What are the concerns? Oh no, it's the way we want it. Okay, well, can I explain to you my concerns? So you have no concerns about having the photo booth in the back? No, none at all. Okay, let me explain to you my concerns. Number one, you're putting the booth right next to the exit. Again, subconsciously, the one thing we don't want to do is pull people towards the exit. Okay? It's a celebration. We want them to have a great time. We want them to use this thing as much as possible. If they use it and they're next to the exit and they leave, now, give and take, I understand. I know what all the DJs in the chat are going to say. It's like, well, if you were a better DJ, you'd keep them there. Shut up. I don't need you to. Don't start with me, okay? I'm telling you right now. Don't do it. Look at me. Don't start. All right. I'm not in the mood there. So when it comes down to it, we had a little brief conversation, and basically I explained to her that number one, it's next to the exit, not a great idea. Number two, to get the most usage out of this, we want it close to the dance floor. It doesn't have to be in the photos and stuff. It doesn't have to be in a very a busy traffic area that's going to impede the staff or anything. But we have this great area right here. Why can't we use it? Well, it's because we want you in the back. Okay, that's not a reason. I'm just trying to understand a reason to have us in the back. And so we went back and forth on this for quite a while. And guess what? Yeah, we were in the back. It was sad. I was irritated. I was upset. There was a few more things that happened that night that I got back. I got even. But Everything, the event turned out phenomenal. I really think we could have created a lot more energy by having, an entertainment. This is a portion of the entertainment. This is an entertaining factor of the event. Why are we hiding this? Don't put it out in the front lobby. Don't put it outside. I understand that it's quieter for the booth attendant. It's quieter for, whoever's running the booth. Maybe, if you're a company who would prefer not to spend money on media, then fantastic. Put it, in the least occupied area where nobody's going to see it, and then you'll, but the problem is you're probably also not going to get a whole lot of referrals because there's not a whole lot of people using it. You got to have people using this thing, having a good time in order for them to go, I want that for my event. All right. That's always the key to generating those referrals. I want that. I have to have that. So make sure it's fun. Make sure it's in the right place. And sometimes you win the battles. Sometimes you lose them. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with my rant. I'm sorry about that. We'll get back on track here. So we are talking about Mr. J Funk's idea of fairy of Enchanted Forest. And we did a little Google search here, found a little bit of artwork. We got, look, aw. Well, see, yeah, that we can't use. And fairy artist on Pinterest. So yeah, like I said before, you just got to be a little careful on what artwork you're using. This is public domain pictures. So let's go back in here and see what else they got that we might be able to use. Because he also says he wants lots of sparkles. Mr. J Funk, we're gonna have to talk a little bit later. Either that or I think he's pulling one over on me. Do you have like a birthday party coming up or something that you need a photo booth template for? Is that what's going on here? That's all right. Let's see. That's Shutterstock. Yeah, can't use that. Where's all of our fun free stock photos that we got here? And all right. Now, the next step, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to do a 2x6? Anybody can answer besides Mr. J Funk. Just in case he's pulling one over on me. You guys want to do a 2x6 design? Do you want to do a 4x6 design? Chime in on the chat. Let me know. And that's what we'll get started with. Yeah, see, you know what? And I respect that. At least you're honest. He says, he goes, yes, doing Sweet 16 in November and Enchanted Forest is the theme. He goes, so yes. Do you make templates for other companies? They're not necessarily hasn't been set up yet. There may be something in the works here relatively soon. I just have to have some time to work on it. As far as rumor has it that you may be able to get you might be able to eventually go to photoboothmonograms.com and be able to put in an order for specific things or designs. But you didn't hear that from me. It's a secret. Okay. So we got 2x6. Do you make so audio flow says 2x6. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, you know what? Let's do 2x6 because that's always, for some reason, 2x6 is always challenging. It's always the hard part. So we're going to get started here. Let's go in. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably use Photoshop Elements. Let me take a look at here. Photoshop CC. Anybody else? All right, let's well then for this first one, let's go and switch over here. Let's see what we got lined up. So as always, we're going to be working with a 4x6 design. And I always think it's easier to work off of an old template, I think. But like I said, we're going to go from scratch just to give you guys some guidance on some new stuff. So we're going to go and select new file. Cool thing about Photoshop, usually up at the top here, we've got, hey, photo. Let's go. There's a 4x6. Are we doing 4x6 landscape or, oh, well, 2x6 we're going to have to do. So let's go. Our width is going to be 4. Height's going to be 6. Now our printers are usually 300 in resolution. Does anybody use a photo printer that's higher than 300? Huh? Let me know. I'm always curious, and if you guys get a chance, I would really appreciate it. Like in the description, in the comments below, put in there like what photo printer you use and you know, how you like it. I'm always interested in the gear side of this, and personally, I use the Synovia's Sinfonia, yeah, the CS2s. Relatively inexpensive, really good quality, and you know, I'm able to carry, you know, 2 of them on me for events. And so with the attendants who are kind of attending to the guests at the events, if something happens, like maybe media runs out, it's all I personally like to have 2 printers on site, because then they just unplug, pull the old other, you know, the one printer out, put the other one in, plug it back in, and it's printing again. I don't have them deal with changing media out at the event. Plus, if there is an issue with the printer, we got a backup there on site too. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then we'll change media when we get a chance, or a little bit of downtime makes things work out great. So do I prefer CC over Elements? Not necessarily. You know what? Because I take that back. I do prefer CC just because I've used it for a long time, and for me, it's easier to find the tools. So I think it's just a personal preference when it comes to what, you know, you guys prefer. It might be something, I think it's a little easier to find some different tools in here. So as with, whether it's CC or Photoshop Elements, you know, we've got our ruler up at the top here. If you don't see a ruler at the top, one of the things you can do is just go up here to view at the top and make sure rulers is checked off there. And then it may come up like this. I'm in pixels here, so we're going to change this to inches. All right, we got 4x6. And let's start off with doing some guidelines. And the way to do guidelines is just basically click on the rulers on the outside. And we're just going to kind of do a little 1/4 inch on each side. This is kind of our safe area, but since we're doing borderless printing, this just gives me a little eye guidance on how far I want to take things. It's okay to go over these lines, and then I usually always do one right at 2, which is our center point. And then from 2, we're going to take like an 1/8 inch off each side. Whoops, I need. So, to give us our little guides. All right, so we've got our guides on here. Kind of curious. Okay. All right. And that is kind of our background here. I think white's pretty bright. So let's go ahead, just for my eyes' sake, we're going to change that. All right. Next step is going to be, what's our first design element? Well, we know we're going to go, let's go to open. And on our desktop, we've got our photo booth folder. So now we got our lantern. We're just going to drag this in, see what it looks like. And kind of see how big it is. So I'm going to zoom out, hit Control T, because that's going to give us our transform tool. And now here's the fun part. We got to decide what we're actually going to kind of use on this. I want, because again, this lantern, remember, we're doing photo strips here, and so I got my lines off here, but we're doing strips here, and which means we're actually doing 2 prints. Apply. There we are. Come on. Get in there. Okay. Which means like this design, half of it would be on one strip and half of it would be on the other. Obviously, we don't really, I don't think we like that. So one of the tools that we can do, or ideas that we can work with here, is pretty simple. Sometimes we just use different design elements from this. Like, for example, like this bottom piece, I like this. This is like a great background. So if we just copy this, I'm gonna bring this up, and now, so let's get rid of this together and paste it into our project here. We've got a little bit of a, background. So first step, let's create a background. We can hit Control T, and then resize this to whatever we want. But again, it's okay to, if we see a texture or something that we end up liking, we can, create something that just pieces of it that would look good. Here's another kind of trick to it. Like one of the things you guys might notice on the stream itself, we've got a little pixelization in here. It's a really good image, but if we wanted to soften it up, we could always come over to the left side here and select our little teardrop, which is our blur tool. And strength 50. And if we use our blur tool on this, what happens is it kind of takes those streaks away because it's just going to blur the image a little bit. We don't need this to be very crisp, sharp. Or let's go in, and now this is where Photoshop CC and Elements is different. If we were in, for example, CC here, we can just double click on the layer. It'll bring up our layer styles, and this would actually let us do like gradient overlay, color overlay. What I'm looking for here is like pattern, and if we wanted to add like a pattern to it. And this could, just let us add a little bit of texture to it if we wanted to. Like that's got us, there we go. And really if we add a little texture to it, it's going to allow us to kind of give it a little bit of depth to the image. I like this pattern here. But then we can go up here to blend mode and figure out which kind of version of blend we want. And that kind of makes it look like a little matte finish. Maybe that's a linear blur, light and darken. Let's see. Let's go back to linear blur. Linear dodge. Linear burn. There we go. And so that gives us the little texture back here. By increasing opacity, that would kind of, again, darken the image itself because we're creating the pattern itself is covering up the image even more. But I do like vibrant, but I do want a little texture in there. So that works out. And then you can scale it as well. So if you want more texture or less, you can also do that. So now we've got a background. What do we want to do with the rest? Let's see. Well, we've got a little I like this top image, and I wonder what we can do with that. So if we were to Oh, one more thing I do want to do. We're going to go ahead and open up our kind of photo booth images and really just take one of the images from the past events. I know that photo booth, the programs themselves will allow you to kind of crop photos and stuff. I think that becomes a little bit more difficult because then you have to worry about, like, is someone in the photo too far to the right or left? And so I try and keep them relatively untouched as far as the images themselves. Let's go into and what I do is we're just going to open up one of our images here. So this is the full res image. And basically I just want to use this for really just aspect ratio to give me the correct size. And so the trick I use is that I'll just drag this into our artwork. We can just close this out. Obviously it's way too big. In case you want to know, I'm basically zooming in and out by using Control and minus and Control and plus to zoom my canvas in and out. Now remember, if you're on Photoshop CC, you're going to be holding down the Shift key in order to maintain your aspect ratio. If you're in Photoshop Photoshop Elements, yes, that's it, then you will not be holding down the Shift key. Otherwise, it will it works just the opposite. So here is our kind of our first photo, and take time, make sure that this first one is right. It makes it really easy to just duplicate it. So what I do here, we got one photo in there. We're going to label this photo. And I'm going to go, we're going to duplicate layer. Now on your 2x6s, guys, what do you usually do? Do you normally do 3 photos? Do you do 4 photos? What do you guys normally do with your 2x6 designs? Duplicate again, and we got plenty of room. So one of the things I do notice with photo booth sessions is difference between doing like a 4x6 where we do 4 photos and if we're doing a 2x6 with 3 photos. That 4th photo, man, nobody really knows what to do they? They just kind of get lost. And you definitely got to be ready to give them some suggestions on poses and what to do. So yeah, so far we've got 3 photos, 3 with logo at the bottom. And so this leaves us a little bit of room down here. But if we end up doing 4 photos on a strip itself, that's where, again, you're going to have to alter the image itself. And if we did, let's see, I want to go ahead and I think we got everything there. We're going to group this up. I'm in a huge habit of just kind of grouping things, and if you go to a layer and group layers, you can put them all into a little folder onto the right here. And we'll do pix right, because then I can always duplicate that. Oh, and I did it. Apparently I don't know my left from my right. All right, and then I did all of that because we're going to undo it. Duplicate layer, we're going to go 3 pick. Get rid of this. We'll open up our 3 photos here. I'm going to get rid of one of them. And then we're going to adjust these. So usually if you're doing 3 photos, what you're going to find, and I don't care if I'm squishing the photos at this point, because I'll show you why in a second, is that you're going to make those adjustments to have it fit. And the reason I'm doing this is because what I'm actually using this for, I'm going to go ahead and kind of click on my layer styles here, and we're just going to do a little color overlay. And the reason is I want this to be, we'll do black. And then you can always, copy layer style, select those layers that you want to apply it to, and hit paste. There. Because I just basically want these just to be placeholders. I really don't care about the photos. Plus, if they're placeholders themselves, then it allows us to do something else, which is kind of cool, which is if I wanted to, I could always, in that group, add in, say, a little drop shadow. And angle this to where it pops in. Now I'm going to zoom in for you guys watching at home here, and you can see that if I take the drop shadow off, how it comes in. And one of the things that we can do here is we're able to now have kind of a drop shadow effect on our images. As long as we just want to line our images up on top of these black boxes. If you wanted these, the other thing you can do is let's go into our effects here. We're gonna have to go individually. If we, just in case when you get to the event, if you want to make life easy, because if it's a black box, then if you don't get it just perfect, then you're gonna see that little black line. So instead of doing black, you can always do something like find a little happy medium when it comes to the coloring. Now we've got very kind of it's not a solid color, so it varies there. And so from left to right, so you're still gonna have to look out for it. Copy layer style, we're gonna put that on both. And now that we've got our place settings here for 3 picks, we can go ahead and just duplicate this group. Move it over. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. All right. Now, we've got our boxes, we've got our general outline set up. Now we got to start working on our design and see what it is that we want to use in this. So why don't we just, we're going to kind of once again make this smaller. And we'll just drag this image in. We're going to get rid of some of this stuff here. And let's bring this up top. Obviously larger than we need. So, and I usually work on one side at a time. So we're going to bring this down. What did I do? All else fails, just hit undo. And just because I'm covering it. All right. So now we can resize. Work our way to the bottom here. I lost my resize. And if you do have any questions during all of this, just go ahead and put it in the chat there. I'd love to. I'll get those answered for you guys. Don't be shy about it. And don't forget, we are taking. I want your suggestions on what we're going to be doing for our design here. So, any elements that you might spark an idea for, let me know. We can implement them into the design. All right, so we got the placement a little right, but to be honest with you, let's put another guideline in here. Did I? Oh, that's right. Shortcut for your ruler also is Control R, and that usually pops it right up. So I want to kind of make a box of where I want my design to be down here. We got our image here. Let's just resize this and make it fill whatever area we want. Not worried about where it goes on here yet. So if we did, let's see. Well, let's see if we just fill this. Okay. So we got our width right. Now we can just kind of play around. Let's see where this would go. If we had it there. Here's the other thing you can do. Make life a little bit easy. So we just kind of had our, instead of continually taking this out and recropping it, let's go up here to our selection tool, our rectangular marquee. And if we have these guidelines in here, we can always kind of select that box. I'm going to go up here to where is select, and I'm going to go inverse. That'll select everything else. As long as you're on just that layer, you hit delete, it's going to take everything out except for that little area there. And so, say we got our first area here. We're obviously going to need some text. And what was this? What was this, Mr. J Funk? What was this for? It was for a. I got to look in here again. It's for a Sweet 16. So let's type in a little Sweet 16. Go up. All right. And yeah, just one of the shortcuts I always use is that I never really go too far into the work itself until I do something I like. So for example, like I just did sweet here. Let me bring this over here. Okay, and we know we got to figure out what font we want to use. Thinking of for a girl, we can let's browse some of our script fonts. Maybe use something that most of you guys would have. All right. And let's make that font look better. One of the ways you could do that, we're going to add a little drop shadow in here. It's going to bring it off of our, and for this, opacity by default, I think, is usually 75%. I know it is on CC, but Photoshop Elements may be a little bit different. And then you got your distance, and distance is going to control how far away it is from the design itself. Your spread is going to be the amount, and your size is going to basically, I always think of it as kind of a spread as well. The less your size is, the more concise those lines around it, around your drop shadow are going to be. So as you get bigger on your size, it starts to kind of fuzz out a little bit and give you little softer edges as well. And then you could play with the contour and everything if you are so inclined. And then another one that I think helps make it look nice is we got a little bevel and emboss here. It doesn't take much, because remember, we are working with pretty small font sizes on here. So that'll we'll just add one in there. Now, we've got sweet, exactly how we like it. We can go ahead and just, if we want, duplicate that layer, call it 16. We can change the text on it. And the reason I like to do them in different layers is that then I can move those around just one by one and get it in the exact spot that I'm looking for. Or if I want to move those two together, we can select both layers. And someone said Eduardian. Okay, yeah, let's switch it up. Go that. And it is easy enough. Now with the Eduardian, a little bit different style of font, so we're probably gonna, let's go a little bit bigger. And what did we do on that? We did full 43 and make this same. All right. If you guys do need some other guidelines, like sometimes I'll put one underneath here just to give me a little, depending on where I want stuff to be lined up. And then you can move these around. Remember, these don't actually show up on your design, so you can use them anytime you want. All right, so we got Sweet 16 there. And we're going to let's do another one, which is going to be, I don't know, maybe Monica. We'll do Monica. Monica's Sweet 16. Now we can do it as the same. If we were to do it as the same, then the easier way would just be to duplicate one of our other layers. Or at least we can start that way. Name it, duplicate the layer, name it Monica. And select the text. Change the text itself. But a lot of times what I like to do is kind of take that chance to change that up a little bit.
Who used to call me on my cell phone?
What's that? Look at that.
The knowledge and beautiful sparkles level.
Mr. J Funk. Oh, you're the man. He just donated $20 million. Yeah. Oh, man. Hey. Wow. Okay. J Funk, you are the all-star right now, man. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the stream, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Wow. Really appreciate that. Says Mr. J Funk says, thanks for sharing the knowledge and beautiful sparkles. I'm trying, man. But yeah, let's we'll continue on here. I want to find, but thank you so much for that tip. Really do appreciate that. We want to find something, a font that looks nice here. Oh, her name's Miranda, not Monica. All right, well then let's change it. Hey, you're the tipper. So we got our MIRANDA. All right. So now we got Sweet 16 Miranda. What other elements do we want in? Oops. Do we want in here? Definitely look for those suggestions. So we got Edwardian, we got Sweet 16. Sweet 16, Miranda, and now one of the other tricks that we can do is, for example, if we want to make things really easy, get ready, because here comes the promo, people. You guys can always send your clients to, say, it's pickmymonogram.com, and this is basically the general site that you can send clients to. There's no pricing or anything on here, and send them over to the static monogram section, and it shows all 50 designs on here. So if you wanted for different ideas and stuff, you could send them over here, have them pick out the number that they want. And if you own the tools disk, you have all of these designs. So then you could just make changes yourself. And that's the 1% Solution Tools download. And we're at 3.0 right now. It's got 50 designs and a bunch of different elements that you can use. So you could have them pick it from there. And then if you are not familiar with designing monograms themselves, then you can go to Living Motion Monograms. The page, it looks very, very similar, obviously. And then here you'll be, as a business owner, only costs $20 to have those designs changed. So, and then what I can do is we can save the designs. If you let me know it's for a photo booth, I can save it as a PNG file. So like the black backdrop won't be there. And then you can put the designs right on top of your photo booth designs as a footer, or however you'd like. Let's see. And then whatever background you have will stay there. So if it's white or black or a different color, then the PNGs tend to work best for, I believe, the photo booth designs, or whatever format will work best for you. Just put it in the notes during checkout, and I'll make sure I get it set up for you in that way. But if I wanted to open up, we're going to go to our desktop here, go into our tools, files. So we've got monograms and monogram font samples, motion, style graphics. So in here, you also get like, vector frames, flares. Here's some vectors. Let's see what this is. So here's some different kind of vector styles. And if I remember correctly, these are all numbered from left to right. And I think these look very whimsical. So if I didn't like say number 4, we can grab layer 4, drag it in. And then, so I can keep track of this. We're going to call it flare. It's got a color overlay on it already. So now what we can do is go in here and say, we want to change that color. What do we want to change it to? What's the colors of the event, Mr. J Funk? What's she going? Everything else is probably completely wrong, but do you know of any colors that they're going for? Pink, hot pink. While you guys chime in, because I can change it at any time, but we'll resize this. So now we're just kind of adding our own elements into this. So maybe we got the color overlay, but we might want to put a little drop shadow in here in order to distance. We're gonna bring down to 0. And increase this. So we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, so these are sometimes have little hairline, very fine controls when we're working this small. Have to see what works best. See, all right, so we got green and purple. Okay, so purple. This may not be the exact purple, but again, it's as easy as changing, the color itself and that's why I love color overlay. All we need is a shape. I mean, whatever shape we want to end up doing, then all we need is that shape to utilize in the design, because then we can change that. If it's a nice clean edges, then we can change it to anything we want. Let's go ahead. We might want to bring this to the top because we're working with layers. So if we want it over a name or under a name, we can also say organize this to where it is. Let's say it's under Monica, but over Sweet. So now that's the other thing that we can do as far as making it weave in and out. Maybe rotate this. And that gives us a little bit of a little 3D effect there, because we've got it's underneath the Monica, it's over our Sweet here. And if you find something that kind of goes with the, we got a little bit of something with the vines here, then this is one of those things where we've got the green that maybe he was talking about, and we got the purple now. We added in the purple. But we added to the design without really taking too much away from it. So, let's just bring it so we don't mess up. I just think that the other thing is on this, I think that the letterings get a little hard to see. So, if we wanted to adjust this drop shadow a little bit to where do a little bit more concise, bring the size down. I'm going to add add that same layer style to our other ones. There we are. Make it a little more easy to read. Okay, so oh God, we're running fast. Okay, I'm gonna we're spending I'm spending too much time on this one. So now now that we have something, as far as you continue working on it, figure out exactly how you want it to look and feel. But what I do is once this is done, then I go ahead and I take these layers, and we've got let's see. So we know we got on this side, we got Sweet, we got Monica 16, we got our flare, and our footer. And now I'm going to go ahead and go layer. I'm going to select our at the top layer and then group layers. And I'm just going to go design left. And what this allows me to do now is just go ahead and hit duplicate the group, and we're going to go design right. Because there is something else I also want to show you guys as well here. And then once we've got that done, then we can just slide that exact same design over and make sure that it fits right. So we've got our first design. Let me zoom in here just a little bit for a second, where we have the design on both sides here. So Sweet 16, Miranda, and that's for the 2x6. Something else I want to, so now that we've got this saved, I'm going to go ahead and hit, let's save our work at least, in case we do make any changes that we don't like later. And design 1. I want to show you guys something else though. When it comes to with photo booths, overlays are also really awesome to use, because then you can adjust the photos behind the scenes almost. So when I talked about overlays with this, then the program itself is going to put the photos on top of these boxes. When we're working with overlays, what happens is now all of a sudden we're going to be putting this slide itself on top of the photos themselves. So the program will toss in the photos on the design, and then this will always be right on top. And different, like I said, different companies have different ways of doing this as far as the programs themselves. But what we're getting, easy way to do this, and let's say we want to create an overlay. I'm gonna go ahead and square in our boxes here, just as you'll see why here in a second. These guidelines work great, especially when you're trying to be very, very precise on what you're selecting. So let's say this event, we want to do an overlay, and not just an overlay, but let's say we want to do an overlay and a frame. We want to do a frame. So if that's the case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with another guideline, and I'm going to just put this guideline however wide we want our frame to be. So let's just say it's 1/8 of an inch. So we got that. We're also going to have to do each side. Let's go to our left side here. Again, another 1/8 of an inch. Right side. This just makes things so quick because it covers the whole design. Another 1/8 of an inch. Let's go here. Okay. This is the quick and easy way to do overlays. It's like, how do we make, easy way to make photo frames? You can either, find the texture that you want. We can, so now we've got our boxes here. We've got our guidelines set up. And that's going to be for design left, design right. So that design left, design right is for our monograms, monogram design at the bottom, our footers, and our 3-pick copy here, and 3-pick here is going to be for our boxes. The reason I did these boxes because let's say we want to do frames. One of the things we can do is just go up here. Once we have our guidelines set, we're going to select our little box tool here. And so this is going to allow us to take that rectangle marquee tool, and we can go into the corner of those guidelines that we just created and select that. And we just have to make sure that we have the right one selected. So that is our right group. And let's label that so we know what it is. Left side frames. Right side frames. Okay, so we got this side selected. We can just hit, at this point, what we do is open up, select that photo, that box, and hit delete. Now we got a frame. Now, while you're here, one of the things you're going to want to do is we can still see the background. What we want to do is we want to see nothing. We want it translucent. So we also need to go and select our background layer that we created and hit delete as well. And we still have another layer here, and this one we don't need, so we can just delete. Oh, let's just turn that layer off, and it'll be gone. Instead of, let's see, delete layer. Yes. Okay, get rid of it altogether. So now that's our first one. I'll show you something else here in a second here. And here's our second one. So then we're going to do the exact same thing. We've got our boxes, our lines set up here. It's going to kind of snap into them. We can go ahead and hit delete there again and again on our background so that it goes all the way through. Let's go ahead and do that one more time on here, and we will delete and delete. So we're gonna have to do that with this. There's our background, and let's go into our next set. Bottom photo, delete there. Try and fly through this for you guys. And this is going to be how you do like an overlay. So if you want to do a frame on something, if you want to create, just kind of a really cool effect where the frame itself is on top of the photo, then you can put your photos behind it, and you don't even have to really make adjustments to the photo. You don't have to make those adjustments to resize the photo because this is going to cover up anything extra. So now as we back out, what we have here is this is how we do an overlay for your photo booths. And now when we end up doing doing one of the photos itself, let's go ahead and open one of those up. Main storage, photo booth. We got our regular images here. Bam. And we're going to drag one of these in here. So what is going to happen, to give you guys an idea, is these images are going to be basically behind everything. So I'm going to drop these down to go right behind that overlay. Obviously these will be resized, and this is huge because these are full res. So they will put them in. Now the program, unless you change it, will keep the aspect ratio on it. So you may need to make little adjustments on that, but even if you don't, what will happen is, see, no matter where the photo is, it's basically going to cover it. And if we were to take that, duplicate this layer, move it off to the right here, then everything it does is going to be behind the scenes there. Now, one of the really cool things I absolutely love about this, we can also select both of these layers, hit duplicate, and move them down. One of the things I love about this that you'll notice, look around the edge of the frame. We did a drop shadow in the design itself. And so because we did a drop shadow in the design, let's go ahead and zoom in. We have a drop shadow on the frame here, but if you look on the inside of this photo, there's a drop shadow in this image. So now we added depth into the photo itself. Now we're going to see some shadowing here from the flash and the big props, but usually you don't see too much of it except just barely around, the guess. And if I were to, let's go into I got to figure out which side. Let's go our left side and our top. So here, and since we got this in and zoomed in, watch what happens when I take please let me go up. I'm going to take so there's our frame. And if I were to take our drop shadow off, you'll see the difference. So there, kind of looks flat, huh? Doesn't, look phenomenal compared to what the other ones look like. It's really hard to see with all these lines, I know. But if we add in that drop shadow, now all of a sudden we added depth into that whole side. If we want to add a little bit more depth, then we've got our frames here. Toss in a little bevel and emboss. I mean, really, that's what's going to give us kind of that wow factor and make it look a lot more like a frame. Then we can go ahead and do that. We can adjust which contour of that we want, what looks the best. Some of these are going to alter the way that the frame looks as far as the coloring itself. But some, it could do it for the better. And so take a look and see which one looks the best on that. Ah, there we go. Okay, I like that. I like that. So now we got our frame. We changed our style. So what we want to do is copy style layer, and we're just going to implement that and paste layer style onto the ones to the right. All right, and as we finish things up here, let's go ahead and duplicate these, put these in here as well so we get a full strip there. Hey guys, if you haven't had a chance already and you've enjoyed the stream, do me a huge favor, hit that like button. We're going to do a little like spike here. I want to see what we can push this thing up to. Also, if you haven't and are not a subscriber yet, hit that subscribe button, and then right to the right to that, hit the little bell icon. It's going to let you know when we are going to be going live, and I'd love to have you guys here for those live events because we just have a lot of fun, and having you guys chime in on the chat, let me know what we're going to be doing. And I really want to get more into whenever I'm doing design work on events. There may be some that I want to just go live at the time and start going, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to be working on this for a client. And we're gonna take a little trip down, and see how creative we can be on this. And it may not be so much as training, but I'll label it just saying, hey, design work for an event, and that you might be able to pick up some tips and tricks on that. But having, I definitely love collaborating with all of you guys when we are live, and in that aspect, then at any time we could end up going live. So whenever I'm doing new designs, new work for events that are coming up, so hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you're notified when we do go live, and hit that like button if you haven't already. Again, special thanks, Mr. J Punk. Thank you so much for your tip. I appreciate that hugely. Everybody else who is here today, thank you guys so much for joining us. Any questions you have, I'm going to answer them as quickly as possible. Just make sure you go down in the comment section there. And hey, Doug Levine's here. Did you just get here, Doug? Seriously? We got to get this guy a watch. Doug is a friend of mine. He's also in my office, our collaborative office of phenomenal DJ entertainment companies. Maybe we'll get into that on another live stream, how that works out. I think I sent you the time, man. Where were you? Oh, been here. Okay, good. Appreciate that. All right. Well, thanks for chiming in. Never. Right at the end. Anyway, again, thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. Got any questions you have? Put them in the comment section below. I will answer them as quickly as possible. And if you have ideas of other streams that you guys want to see done, any tips, any tricks, any things you want to learn, put them in the comment section so that I can get them planned, get them ready, and get you guys the training you need for this. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys all for being here, and we will see you on the next live stream next Monday. Maybe. Schedulings are changing, so I will let you guys know at the absolute earliest possible time, and we'll get it all taken care of. But yeah, thanks, Doug, for chiming in at the last second. Audio Flow Entertainment, thank you so much for being here, and everybody else from around the world for joining us. DJ Tony, man, I always, he commented, is the customer always right? Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, most of the time, right? Most of the time. Perfect, right? Yeah, right. They're always right. Anything we can do to make accommodations, I'm always looking out for the customer themselves and trying to accomplish what I know is that the customer is always right if it has to do with accomplishing the goal that they want for their event. That's what's important. What is it that they want for their event? And sometimes we have to make changes in order to make that happen. And sometimes they're for the better. Sometimes they're just to make things smoother. And sometimes it's because vendors don't like to listen. So again, guys, thanks so much. We will see you guys next week, and I will post when our next live stream is going to be very, very soon. But we'll see you guys soon.